I tweeted back, I wrote, "Officer, I'd like to report a joke." After processing the fact that someone called the police on me, believe it or not, this has never happened to me in my life, has been filed with the Capitol Police. She called the police and reported this. Not only did she call the police.
Picture this: a late night host makes a joke. A politician loses her mind. The internet explodes with memes. Welcome to the bizarre world of MTG versus Jimmy Kimmel. It's like a WWE SmackDown, but with more laughs and less spandex. But the real question is, who's the real winner in this comedy cage match? Is it Kimmel with his quick wit, or MTG with her, ability to dial 911? Stay tuned to find out who gets the last laugh in this ridiculous political circus. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. It is time for everyone to fasten their seatbelts because we are about to embark on an adventure into the wild world of political comedy, where it is said that jokes are more harmful than Jewish space lasers.
As I appear to have run afoul of probably the worst woman in American politics, Marjorie Taylor Greene. And by the way, if she's gonna report me to the police, if that's how she wants to play it, I'll report you right back. And I won't go to the police. The congressperson from the 14th District of Georgia is unhappy. She's specifically unhappy with me. She's had a tough couple of days.
You make the right reading. It is official that our favorite conspiracy theorist, Marjorie Taylor Greene, has gone completely insane over a zinger that Jimmy Kimmel delivered. Imagine this: Kimmel, doing what he does best, made a joke about the infamous space laser theory that is associated with Magic: The Gathering. You are aware that she attributed the wildfires in California to a Jewish space laser that was kept a secret. In contrast to the majority of people, our Marjorie would not have laughed it off. Oh no, she went beyond the point of no return with it, and instead of responding with a clever retort, or I don't know, ignoring it like a grown-up, Magic.
A lovely thing to say. So I made a joke. I said, "Where is Will Smith when you need him?" And now she's dialing 911 because she got made fun of. She's a snowflake and a sociopath at the same time. And she decided she's going to try to get some political mileage out of this. This is what she does instead of working. She tweets.
The Gathering decided to call the joke police. I am referring to the actual police force when I use the term joke police. Actually, you did hear it correctly. In the time it took for Trump to tweet "Kafif" at 3 in the morning, she called 911 more quickly than he could. Still, hold on, things are going to get better. Kimmel was accused of threatening MTG on Twitter, according to MTG, who was obviously very wise, mainly due to the fact that in her world, a joke appears to be exactly the same as a death threat. I suppose that when you are constantly babbling about Jewish space lasers, everything in the world becomes threatening. It is highly likely that Jimmy Kimmel is currently sitting in his office, pondering whether or not he has just happened to walk into a sketch on Saturday Night Live. In the moment that he found out that his joke had turned into a federal case, can you imagine the expression on his face? What an unexpected turn of events. It goes without saying that the internet did what it does best. Within a short period of time, memes were circulating at a rate that was faster than most people could say Jewish space laser. The Twitter community was more active than the state of California during the wildfire season. Is it too early?
After she saw it, she tweeted, "ABC contacts my employer. This threat of violence against me by Jimmy Kimmel, very rich that a person who did this in her campaign ad is suddenly whining about fantasies of violence, has been filed with the Capitol Police." She called the police and reported this. Not only did she call the police,
politicians and comedians alike joined in on the fun, turning the meltdown of Magic: The Gathering into the most hilarious joke of the week. It turns out that it is not against the law to be thinner than Trump's comb-over, which is the worst part of the situation. Who could possibly have knew? There is a good chance that the authorities had to explain to MTG that jokes, even if they affected her feelings negatively, are not in violation of the law. Put yourself in the position of the unfortunate officer who was required to respond to that call. "Ma'am, I'm sorry, but we can't arrest someone for making fun of your batshit crazy theories."
called the same police she voted against giving a Congressional Gold Medal to for defending our capital against the insurrection she helped incite, misspelled Euro, of course, already inspiring fantasies of violence against me. How many new death threats will I get that are your fans? The people she wanted to defund. It's amazing how quickly you can go from these liberals who can't see anything anymore to, what'd you say? I'm calling the cops.
It was just when you thought that this political comedy show could get any stranger that the Orange Threat himself decided to interrupt the celebration. As you probably guessed, Donald Trump decided to play the role of a comedy critic because he felt like he was missing out on all the fun. In the event that a man's conception of a joke is kafef, then who is more qualified to evaluate humor? The situation is that President Trump, in his infinite wisdom, referred to Jimmy Kimmel as a failed comedian. This is what is being said. Here we have a situation in which the pot is calling the kettle pink. The criticism that Michael Scott has leveled against Steve Carell's acting abilities is comparable to this, given that Trump is just as skilled at critiquing comedic performances as he is at, well, being president. At least he can be relied upon. It would seem reasonable to assume that a former president would be more interested in something other than engaging in debates with hosts of late-night talk shows. It would be beneficial for him to work on improving his golf swing or practicing not to incriminate himself during depositions. On the other hand, Donnie Diapers deliberated and came to the conclusion that this was the hill he desired to pass away on. Boy, it was a disaster that came to pass more quickly than one of his casinos. Kimmel did not miss a beat in his role as the comedian and host that we all know and adore. As a form of retaliation, he delivered a zinger that most likely prompted Trump to reach for his bottle of facial spray. "I'm just glad to know that I'm living rent-free in your head, Donald," Kimmel said in response. "Keep watching." How awful. More pain must be felt by that than by an unsuccessful attempt at a coup. On the other hand, the internet was the place where the real comedy gold could be found. Almost before you could utter the words stable genius, the meme machine launched itself into high gear. Suddenly, pictures of Donald Trump being jeered off stage as a failed stand-up comedian took over everyone's Twitter feed. These pictures took over the internet. It felt very much like reliving his presidency while a laugh track was playing in the background. As with his handling of classified documents, the public's support for Trump's attempt at comedy criticism was roughly equivalent to that of his handling of classified documents. Others immediately brought up the irony of the situation, which consisted of the person in the room with the least amount of humor attempting to criticize real comedians. The situation would be comparable to if I were huffing and puffing on a treadmill while attempting to offer Usain Bolt some advice on how to run. The entirety of this situation serves only to emphasize the fact that Trump ought to refrain from attempting to create jokes and instead concentrate on being the target of jokes. After making an attempt to burn himself, he set himself on fire, prompting you to exclaim, "You're fired." Despite this, he does provide late-night hosts with material on a consistent basis, which allows them to make fun of him.
I tweeted back, I wrote, "Officer, I'd like to report a joke." After processing the fact that someone called the police on me. Believe it or not, this has never happened to me in my life. This afternoon, she wrote, "You weren't joking. You hide your misogyny and your racism behind your jokes on ABC."
People, it would appear that our late-night comedians are not only serving to make us laugh, but they are also helping to ensure the continued existence of our democratic system. Who would have thought that jokes could be such a serious business? When politicians try to silence comedians, they are, in essence, attempting to stifle free speech. This is the most unfortunate aspect of the situation. Oh no. It appears that those late-night giggles are doing more than just making us laugh. They are also doing something else. In point of fact, they are empowering individuals to have a better understanding of the peculiar world of politics. Do you not find it unbelievable? It has been reported that 7 out of 10 young adults consider these comedies to be their primary source of political education. What do you think about the possibility of offering degrees in advanced joke studies? On the next occasion that Grumpy Trumpy, or MTG, not Magic the Gathering, but Marjorie Taylor Greene, makes an attempt to call the joke police, it is important to keep in mind that although there are many things that can be arrested in the United States, comedy cannot be restrained, so that is certainly something to rejoice about.